Let us discuss something interesting about pseudotachylite, which is very interesting field geological structure, often misled, but there are certainly certain recognizable criteria. So the term pseudotachylite, it has come from its resemblance with tachylite, a basaltic glass. So pseudotachylite, it often looks like tachylite. So pseudotachylite was first documented by Sand, one geologist. His name was Sand, very renowned geologist, and it is actually an extremely fine grained to glassy, dark, cohesive rock, mostly occur as veins that form through frictional melting and subsequent quenching, mostly during seismicity like earthquakes, large scale landslides, and sometimes impacts. So this type of shear hitting is mainly responsible for formation of pseudotachylite, chemical composition of which are generally reflects the local bark chemistry. Whatever rock comprising the hosting that structure, it is like same, but sometimes it appears more darker due to very fine grained and mafic compositions due to slightly more preferential incorporation of hydrous and ferromagneseous minerals like mica amphibolite. Mostly it is glassy, but glass is most in general metastable features. So it used to devitrify into very fine grained minerals eventually, with quenched texture such as chilled margins, radial concentric clusters, microcrystallites, that is called often spherulites. These kinds of features are associated with glass, and sometimes skeletal spinifex microcrystallites. Okay, so pseudotachlytes have been referred as mostly fossil earthquakes, as they represent definitely an evidence of seismic slip. During seismic faulting, pseudotachylite forms through an extreme concentration of frictional sliding into a thin surface of a fault or deformation plane. The friction creates heat because rock are insulator. Heat cannot dissipate, and the temperature increase on the surface, allowing the rock to melt locally. This generates fault veins, which are often accompanied by injection veins that open, form a fault vein as opening mode cracks. A melt origin for pseudotachylite was controversial for some time, which is not related at this moment in this present context. However, laboratory experiments has been already successfully explained pseudotachylite formation related to flash melting of asperites that eventually grow joined together into large patches of high viscosity melt. Okay, so abundance of seismic pseudotachylite in nature. There is apparent lack of pseudotachylite in the geological record relative to the observed seismicity today, because this raises question if this is an issue of rarity of this production, lack of recognition in field. Let us discuss something interesting about pseudotachylite, which is very interesting field geological structure, often misled, but there are certainly certain recognizable criteria.